Okay, let's see if our online speaker, Mr. Ka, is everything working fine? Can you hear us?
I can.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you for making the time. Let's see. So, who wishes to kick off? I see Sam's hand going up.
Hi there. The online audience has been incredibly dynamic for this session, which is great. So there's a bunch of questions which may or may not be in front of you, but the first one that came through a while ago, which is incredibly pertinent. We're in a time of great technological changes with open development, cloud infrastructure, artificial intelligence, and many other new technologies. Is the basic approach behind the CADS still fit for purpose?
That's a great question indeed. Yes, go for it. Here's the microphone. Let's see if it's on. Keep it close to your mouth.
Well, I think
it's on. It's on.
I think all of us, we can answer this question in one way or another. I think the answer is yes. The basic approach is still there. The vision is still the same. Of course, the new technologies will allow us to make it better, being more effective, and to achieve more complex set of solution and objectives. But probably I will pass to our contractor, which knows better about all these technologies.
I think the main point of the modernization is that we started from something that was quite close and very dedicated to the purpose, and now we are trying to adapt technologies that are much more widely used to this purpose. So a lot of the changes from the technological point of view is using the stack of technologies, cloud-ready technologies, that most of the other fields that the author of the question made are built on top of. So Kubernetes, containerization, and Jupyter Hub APIs. So all the steps are designed for a specific purpose, but the technologies are much more common, wide open than they were before. And that is the reason we wanted a real fresh start for the modernization.
Brilliant. We have a question over there.
Yeah, Luigi again. I have a question for Alessandro. What was the source of feedback for modernizing the CDS infrastructure? And if you can give us a couple of examples, maybe coming from the user community for modernizing, what was the feedback that you included in this modernization cycle? Thanks.
Maybe it's more Angel than us.
Yeah, this is exactly what I tried to state in my presentation. So we opened the system with the technologies that were at that time, and we consider were the best to achieve our purpose at that time. After all 4 years of operation, we have been interacting with different users, collecting inputs from different sources. We have our user support, which is receiving tickets from users. We have also the EQC component, but we also have all the statistics that we collect. So we have a view of what the users are accessing, how, what is the best required one. So now we know the system is far for being perfect. We know, and there are bottlenecks, and there are some limitations, is what I think the K presentation was presenting quite well, and he was working closely with us. And for us, it's a very important source of information to know why. So, for example, this new approach to the toolbox, it is very important, and it's solving more of the comments that we have received from users. We want something that can run independently, which is fully compliant with the tools that we use on our daily work, and this is what we are trying to achieve.
All right, I'll prioritize those who haven't spoken yet. So let's start there, if that's all right with you, Bill. Yeah, just pass it on.
Yeah, Yeah, regarding the toolbox, I have a question because, I mean, there have been quite some scripts developed using this toolbox now.
A little closer to your
yeah,
mouth.
if you say you, maybe I did not understand correctly, but you close this toolbox wrapper and you open up the new Python-based stuff. What do we do with all these scripts we have now employed using the data and so on? How can we migrate them?
Yeah, the backward compatibility of the new toolbox with the existing one is something is an issue. In the first version of the toolbox, people had to go in this toolbox editor to work directly within the system, and it was a barrier for the uptake and for the development. I think Ka was the one referring to this, and I think it's the voice for a lot of people in the room. So we will try to facilitate this transition of the content and the migration, but in principle, if we want to do something much better, we have to pay some price, and probably this backward compatibility is the price we have to pay.
Is there another question from the Slido, Sam? Let's have a microphone here, and then we'll move to the back to Hans.
So there were a lot of other questions on the toolbox. So one of the questions was focusing on the migration time plan and information policy on the toolbox. Another question on the toolbox was focusing on the type of data. So the CDS toolbox API seemed to be optimized for handling gridded level 3 data. However, CDS includes also level 2 data sets, e.g. consisting of individual satellite soundings. Will the CADS 2.0 toolbox, or lab, as I've heard it called, API offer improved support of level 2 data?
Well, I have my team here supporting the
Eddie, if you wish to
answer,
contribute, please feel free.
as they know. So looks like they are.
I don't think I'm going to say anything different to what Alessandro and Angel have already said, but because we're moving towards more open source platform and we're opening the doors to using external Python packages, this means that you're not limited to the tools that, as the commenter quite rightly says, were designed for gridded, simple level 3 products. So the short answer is yes, and the longer answer is because we have open source tools, you'll be able to do whatever you want with the data, and if you do something effective, we would like you to contribute to our sort of library of tools that we will be trying to share with the rest of the world. So we encourage you to do that, and we encourage you to contact us with what you have done in the toolbox in the future.
So, coming from someone who's not very familiar with digital infrastructures, this is one of the ways you're trying to enable users to build on your own infrastructure their own things, yes?
Exactly.
Okay. Wow, I had that one right.
Exactly. So one of the things that we didn't really accomplish in CDS 1.0 was to get our user-based contribution to the software and tools and services that we have. There was a sort of a brick wall that people could work in the toolbox, but their developments couldn't sort of they could, but it was very difficult for their contributions to make it into our official software. Whereas because we're going to go to this open source approach where people have much more freedom to write their own code, it will lower the barriers to getting those code into official tools and services that we can then distribute to other people. And hopefully everybody will enjoy it, and it will become a much more effective CADS toolbox.
Indeed, you'll harness the knowledge of a very broad community based on your own infrastructure. Yes, Bill.
Thanks, Ali. Bill Bell, C3S Reanalysis team. It's a comment and a question for Jörn, really. Really nice talk in Destiny, and especially some more detail on what the digital twins look like. So my question is, do you consider that data assimilation will be part of the climate twin, or is that a free-running climate model? And if the former, if it runs data assimilation, maybe you could say a few words about the relationship between the Copernicus activities and the Destiny climate twin.
So the the reason why we couldn't talk much about the details about these twins earlier is that this is contracted out. You know, this is not done internally, but we're contracting external partners. And the contract on the extremes twin has been signed. The one on the climate twin is about to be signed, but it's not. You know, the ink's not on the paper, so it's a bit difficult. So the specific link, it will run its own 2 models. I think that can be said. That will also serve to compare, and they will assimilate data. About the technical detail of how that, it's similar teams. There is going to be talk, but I can't really say on the details. I can connect you to the right people though. You can find me afterwards.
Ka, just to make sure you're included in the discussion despite the long distance that you're removed, please notify me using your voice if you wish to contribute. Brilliant, thank you very much.
Actually, I have one comment, a generic comment, and then a question for Ka. So, yeah, a question for Ka. So the comment was in relation to what we were discussing a minute ago about the new CADS and the toolbox, and this opening up of the toolbox, I think comes with an extra layer of EQC. So in a sense, the EQC of the application and the governance of the toolbox becomes more important than before because we have less control of what is being developed. So this was just a remark I was keen to make.
Okay.
But my question to Ka is about the use of CADS beyond Europe and especially in developing countries, because I guess from my biased point of view, I like to think that having applications running on the cloud close to the data has lowered the barrier to access climate data in countries, in developing countries. So I guess my question to you is, what do you think our priorities should be now that we are developing the CADS to help you and other people operating in the global south dealing with climate data?
If the question is clear to you, Ka, go ahead.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Sorry, the line is breaking. I don't know if you can hear me even.
We can hear you. Did you get the question? Was the audio clear enough for you?
Yes, I think I...
Okay, brilliant.
Yeah, I think the question was, what can you do in order to help us think, if I'm not mistaken?
The idea was, the question, if I'm not mistaken, Carlo, is the use of CDS beyond Europe, especially in the global south. What can we do in order to make that easier for you?
Well, for now, I really cannot put a finger on what you can do specifically, but I think one of the major things, issues we are facing here is even awareness, being aware that such a, CDS or CADS exists. So maybe we should have, the first step is to make the African-made services to be aware that such a service exists and their uses. Then in that case, maybe there can be other things that can be added on to after that.
Brilliant. So it's an awareness-raising thing. Alessandro, yes.
I would like to clarify something that I'm not sure we managed to get through. That is, the toolbox, the core of the toolbox will be those libraries that were already present in the previous, in the CDS 1.0, but were only available on the ECMWF machines. Right now, we will make them available to everybody, but still present in ECMWF machines. That is, there is still the option for users that don't have the resources to use the resources on the CDS, and probably much easier because we will use more standard tools like the Jupyter Hub, etc. Something that I forgot to add in the presentation. So something that lowers even the barrier of entry to use data, to use the toolbox on the CDS. And this is also a little bit for the application, replying to the applications. There is still resources there that will be used for the applications. The thing that is not decided yet is whether we do a full support of all their applications in their, I mean, code level support, or if we will provide a migration path to the new tools. But the fact that an application will be running on the CDS is still in the planning. So it's what will be, applications will be run there.
Brilliant. Let's have the microphone come this way.
Yeah, thanks a lot. I also would like to answer to Carlo the question of how to support the global south, or also looking beyond Europe, and then especially with the glasses of OGC standards. And then there was the questions also how to, when now we need to change all the scripts which are available. And then the key message is, as better as we're sticking to common standards, as less we have to change later on. And then looking at the global south, so that, for example, we can change different climate services. So ECMWF or C3S is doing the main work and shrinking down the data. And then once they are small enough, fitting through the lower bandwidth into Cameroon, for example, then they can download it there and process it and then there further. And as long as we are sticking to the same APIs, then these climate services can be combined in any kind of how you would like to have that. Not only to Africa, also to Canada, to the United Nations, to the USA. And then if we are having that in a common sense, then that will be kind of the discussion we have in the international community by the UNFCCC, and then kind of bringing that out of from the United Nations as a recommendation.
Thank you very much. So standardization, really. Let's see, we have a question there.
Yes, Herolaus Lucas, Climate Data Factory, for the destination Earth person, speaker. It seems to me that the two digital twins collide from one side because of the resolution, because of the extension of the ambition, the technological ambition, collide with the responsibilities and objectives of national weather services from one side, and the other digital twin is there and also related to what the IPCC and the climate community, impact community are doing, obviously, because you are assembling tools that they are using. How the project is perceived by both communities, the National Weather Services from one side, and the impact general climate community from the other side, and the IPCC in particular.
Well, as you know, this is a fairly tightly knit community, so people know each other, and so the member states, of course, have been presented with this in numerous fora, and we've discussed this both in ECMWF, but also, you know, at UMETSAT with their member states and at the EU level, so there is, of course, a lot of concern and awareness that this needs to be supporting the member states in their roles and not competing with that. And I think we are really religiously following up on that, and I think that's appreciated by our member states because they do recognize that. You know, it's in all our tenders, it's in all our publications. It's you know, they are exploiting, and we are intending to support them in doing their own responsibilities with the activities that we do, as we do in ECMWF anyways. I mean, that's our raison d'être. And we're doing that in Destination Earth also. So there was a bit more nervousness on the EU side because the Commission has not been so involved in this weather topic. On the ECMWF side, I think they are interested and you know, somewhere between strongly supportive because they recognize the value that this can bring, and interested. On the climate side, we are also playing in these fora, and again, the technology push element is what is being recognized as an opportunity. We're not doing a separate thing. Of course, this will feed into, similarly to C3S feeding into IPCC processes. This is supposed to support, and there are, in the climate domain, there are parallel activities ongoing anyways, and so the climate, the Earth system models that we will be operating and configuring in the context of the climate twin will not be a new development, obviously, but it will build on the activities and the existing climate models and take them a step further. So it's supportive, and therefore, again, of course, there are questions asked. How does this fit in detail? And we don't have all the answers today, but it's not sort of there's no strong objection.
Okay. A brief contribution, yes.
No, it's another topic, so if someone wants to comment on this...
That's all right.
No, it's just one remark, because we have been discussing this with some people in the room. It's about the toolbox. We are aiming to deliver an early version of the CDA's toolbox in order to facilitate the transition of new contracts to migrate into the new one. So if you are, in your plans is to use the toolbox, please approach some of our technical team or myself, and we will give you more details about what we are aiming to achieve with this early version of the toolbox.
Thank you very much for that. Unless your question is a very burning one that cannot wait, I suggest we head to lunch very quickly. Is that all right? Maybe you can approach the speaker you wish to ask. Just a quick remark before I set you off. Could I please ask the speakers of the next session, Climate Applications Part 1, before you head to lunch, please come and take your seats here so we can have a quick chat of 5 minutes. The faster you are on the stage, the quicker we finish. Secondly, if you have told us about your dietary requirements in registration, then you should head to the bar and tell them your name, and they will have prepared a special plate for you given your dietary requirements. Last but not least, let's have a huge applause for the members of the panel for their fantastic contributions. Please be back in the room no later than 3 o'clock. Thank you.